All right. So, other poll questions, Todd, today?
Two more. One is, how do you feel about the NBA's LA teams right now? I believe the Lakers and Clippers will go far. I only believe in the Clippers. I only believe in the Lakers. I believe in neither after the big fourth quarter comeback by LeBron and the purple and gold.
Okay, we were just talking about this yesterday. Seton came in and said, the Clippers are a good story. It's interesting. They're playing well, but they're always second fiddle to the Lakers. Lakers, Clippers last night. We're all of a sudden ready to go, all right, buying into the Clippers. And then all of a sudden they blow a 21-point fourth quarter lead. And LeBron was unbelievable in the fourth quarter, outscoring the Clippers. But I have two problems with this. The first three quarters, Clippers looked awesome. The Lakers didn't. So you can look at this both ways. How did the Lakers get down 21? And then if you're the Clippers, how did you allow the Lakers to come back from 21 down? As LeBron said recently, on any given night, we can beat the best team and we can be beaten by the worst team. That doesn't bode well come April, May, and if there is a possibility with June. And with the Clippers, it just feels like, buyer beware. Buyer beware. And it feels like Lucy is holding the football and Charlie Brown, he trusts her again. You promise you're not going to pull that? I won't, Charlie. And then Charlie ends up on his backside. Yes, Todd.
And the other one was, if the Bears select Caleb Williams, which song is more likely to depict his career there? My Kind of Town, Chicago is, Frank Sinatra, or Paper Lace, The Night Chicago Died? Wow. Which Chicago song will depict the career of Caleb Williams in Chicago?
Okay. All right.
Paper Lace.
The Night Chicago Died.
Pretty big hit back in 1974. Yeah. I know you love when I keep it current.
Yeah, that is real current. You gave me Sinatra and you gave me 1974.
But those are big hit songs about Chicago and the extremes of how positive or negative things could go with Caleb there.
Paper Lace.
Once again, My Kind of Town or The Night Chicago Died.
What is the song about with The Night Chicago Died? Paper Lace.
I don't know Paper Lace that well. They're a British band. They have no ties to Chicago.
What do they have against Chicago?
Yeah, The Night Chicago Died is about a shootout between the Chicago police and gangsters tied to Al Capone. That was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay.
It's an upbeat topic.
Yeah.
The Night Chicago Died.
It was a major story in Nottingham. So
Huge.
All right, so we'll go to the Combine coming up. Caleb Williams talked about the Bears, a little bit about the Commanders. He said all the right things, and that's good. We mentioned college football playoffs, bumping it up maybe to 14 teams. Caitlyn Clark is now the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball history. I love that Lynette Woodard was acknowledged last night, and rightfully so, because she should have been viewed as the all-time leading scorer. Kelsey Plum was listed as the all-time leading scorer. Lynette Woodard didn't even get that recognition when Kelsey became the all-time leading scorer. So Caitlyn Clark surpasses Lynette, but they gave Lynette her flowers. Next up for Caitlyn Clark this weekend against Ohio State will be Pete Maravich's all-time scoring record. And I do like that when there is a record, a modern-day record, and we look back and we acknowledge who held the record before, it's a chance. Lynette Woodard has probably been celebrated more for her career than when she actually set the all-time record. Pete Maravich was always celebrated. Pete Maravich's name still comes up. You can go to YouTube and see Pete Maravich in college or in the NBA. I got to see him twice in person, once in Cincinnati against Nate Archibald. It's one of the greatest performances by both of those guys that it made it so much fun. There was no defense, and it was Maravich against Nate Archibald, and got to see Pete at his Pete Maravich-ish, NBA peak, because he was great in college. I imagine you score so much, you seem bored by scoring. Pete seemed bored. When he got to the NBA, it just felt like I've done this, and he always wanted to be a winner. And he never was. Didn't get that opportunity. His LSU teams weren't great. They went to the NIT. And even when he went to the pros, the Jazz weren't a great team. The Atlanta Hawks had a mass exodus. When Pete got there, a couple of the veterans said, we're not going to play with this kid. they went to the ABA. And I think Lou Hudson was the one veteran who stayed there with Pete. And he went to the Celtics late in his career, but, and then died at the age of 40. Yes, Marv.
Pete Maravich and Patrick Ewing, are those two guys that are first ballot Hall of Famers that are probably more famous for their college careers?
Yeah, I would say Ewing's impact on college basketball, that Georgetown team, yes, I would think that's fair to say. I mean, Ewing would have been a Hall of Famer with his NBA career, and Pete would probably be a Hall of Famer. He was really good in the NBA, but it was different when he was in college. Nobody had seen something like that. But back then, you did have a lot of great scorers. Rick Mount was a great scorer. Calvin Murphy was a great scorer. Bo Lamar, Freeman Williams. It was important to lead the nation in scoring. Now it's not. Like, who led the nation in scoring last year or the year before? It's not that big a deal. But back then, it was. And Pete's averaging 44 a game. Yeah, Pauline.
And that's another comparison with Caitlyn Clark and Pete Maravich. He was a phenom in college. She is. In WNBA, it may cool off a little bit. Like, if you look at Pete Maravich, he had a season where he averaged 31 points a game and led the league in scoring. He was a 6-time All-Star. He didn't have a terrible pro career. It's just nothing could match, as you know, what he did in college. He was
a kind of a sideshow. He was somebody you went out and saw. You weren't going out to see the team. You were going out to see Pete. And I got there probably 2.5 hours before the game started, and Maravich came out in warm-ups and then put on a show in warm-ups. You know, like you have with Steph Curry, Pete was doing a lot of ball tricks and shooting and dunking, and and then Nate Archibald came out for the Royals, and he was wonderful as well. But those days of seeing somebody who is going to lead the nation in scoring, and it's important, those are long gone. Because most of these players don't stay around for more than... If you're good enough to average 25 a game, you're probably not staying around. That's why Pete's all-time record... Now, I know it was threatened recently, but in 3 years, nobody will touch that because nobody's going to... If you average 40 a game in college, you're not going to stay around for more than 1 year. And I don't know if any coach is going to say, go out there and take as many shots as you want, because Pete's dad was his coach at LSU. But Caitlyn Clark did it the way Caitlyn Clark does. Let's get this out of the way quickly. And I think she was up like 13-0 on Minnesota herself last night. And, it's amazing. It's like seeing a band and it's their farewell tour. That's what it feels like with Caitlyn Clark. Every stop along the way, she sells out, and you got a lot of young, children who are showing up. Little girls who are showing up. Everybody's got signs and jerseys. I mean, it's a thing. It is quite an impact with college. I should say just college basketball, not just women's college basketball. Hold on for dear life here with what goes on in college athletics. Certainly with basketball and football. Here you have the NCAA thinking about going to 96 teams for March Madness. Now you're having college football where we didn't get to 12 yet. I guess there's no official contract. There's been conversation, but now they want to expand to 14 teams. Okay. Well, if your school was the 13th or 14th ranked team last year, you're probably like, I'm all in favor of this. More money for more teams, and that's what this is all about. All about money. For people who shouted from the rooftops about breaking contracts and what about bowl game traditions, nonsense. It's all about money. It's always been about money. Now it's front and center. Paying players, always been there. Now it's front and center. We found out that Caleb Williams was making probably $9 million going to USC. The price of talent is going up. And, these schools want to make more money. Conferences want to make more money.